go to
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, maybe you're tuning in by way of replay. I am Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach. And sitting here next to me, fussing at me right before we went live, y'all, is the lovely light-skinned
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. And we got some
feedback. Listen, guys, it's going to be a working situation this morning, so I just want y'all to be really patient with me. We are outside of our normal comfort zone, but here's what I love about being outside of our comfort zone, babe. That's where real growth happens. So for those of you guys who are just tuning in, today we're going to talk about growth. Yeah. Today we're going to talk about what it looks like to get back. We've got people on the set today. We've got stuff happening all over the place. It's all love. Here's what I need y'all to do. I need you guys to really quickly share this out with as many people as possible. If you are married, if you are dating, if you are single, thinking about dating, if you are a person that's been in a relationship for any length of time, here's what you can relate to. What it looks like to either cheat or be cheated on. Listen, I took a look at the statistics. We've got a guest today that's going to help break some things down to us, y'all. The statistics are alarming. Like, a lot of people have references to this, Sheree. Right. You and I both know what this looks like.
Right. In our former relationships, I was the cheater and cheatee.
Cheater and the cheatee. Wow.
In both of my former marriages.
Notice she said former because I ain't in jail yet. I just want to let y'all know I'm just playing.
And so I know what the damage that's caused by that, the downfall that comes with it, but unfortunately far too many of us have experienced that.
Yep.
And we want to talk about that today, the reasons why people cheat, and how you can move past that in your relationship.
Absolutely. So for those of you guys who are not aware, first of all, I just want to say a shout out to Tiffany George Hawkins. Good to see you, my good friend, jumping on. Eric Jones Jr. representing the whole Midwest. Love it, bruh. Good to have you. Lacey, good to have you. Tiffany Childs, good to have you. Listen, if you are a part of the MAPS Relationship Academy, I need you to put in the chat hashtag MAPS Rocks. For those of y'all are trying to figure out what is that, MAPS is an acronym. It stands for Marriages and Parenting Successfully. Cherie and I created an online relationship academy, really, 2.5 years ago. I'm shocked and amazed that we've been going strong this long. But it's where we get an opportunity, guys, to add value to people who are growing with great intentionality, their couple skills, their marital skills, their parental skills, and just being good human beings inside a relationship.
Right. There's a place, it's community. It's a place where people can come together, can share their challenges, can get feedback not only from us, but from other people who've been there and done that. And so it's about building community and having that support system of like-minded people, and that's key. It's people that are striving towards having successful relationships instead of, because, we all got girlfriends and friends that we can talk to, but they may not necessarily be going where we're trying to go. And so in this community, it's a community of people that are going where you want to go in your relationship, so you can continue to get fed and to grow in your relationship.
100%. So listen, do me a favor, go to www.thecrcoach.com, C as in constant, R as in relationship, coach.com. That's where you can find out how you can sign up for a free discovery session, and we would love to see if we're a fit, and we would love to have you in the room. But
I'm excited
I'm enough of all that stuff, right? So I got to set this up. Cherie, listen. 30 years ago, we old.
You old.
No, we old, shorty. I ain't messing with you. 30 years ago, as a young youth pastor, I remember meeting a group of people, not at the same time, but they were all significantly growing in the kingdom in terms of doing what they needed to do. Many of them were either youth pastors or in youth ministry, and so I remember going down to, and some of y'all here in the DMV, y'all will remember back in the day when Evangel used to have these youth explosions, these big youth conferences, and youth pastors from literally all over the region, all over the country would bring their kids. Bus loads of kids would come out to this. Commission came every year. It was a situation. Matter of fact, when Commission broke up, we was feeling some type of way. It's like, oh my God, are they not going to do the youth explosion? Like, these kinds of things would happen. So Peyton Gray, back in those days, Kevin, and all these cats were putting this together. And they used to bring a guy every year just about, and we recognized right away that we were not worthy. Like, when this brother got on the mic, it was like, is he our age? Like, because, like, what is, this brother is bringing something different. Like, what God, I'm not even saved, right? So Keith would come to the mic and just shut the whole program down. As we grew up, we stayed in a relationship and we grew together. He was building, I was building, and we weren't building a thing together, but we knew one another and were certainly working in this space. And later he became a pastor. He did all these different things, and he started writing. But here's the thing that always impressed me about Keith, and that was that he was always relationship driven. So whenever he talked, whenever he spoke, it was always in relation to how can we do relationships at a higher level. And I've already given and spilled the beans. It is my privilege. It is my honor. I am so stoked right now. I can tell you right now, guys, this is going to go longer than today's show. Right. We're going to probably stop at some point and then literally keep recording and give y'all part 2 later. But today, I want to welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses my great friend. He's an author. He's a pastor, highly regarded in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and quite frankly, around the globe. Y'all put your hands together for a warm welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses, my friend Keith Battle. Listen,
hey, man. That was a great introduction, man. I was trying to figure out what you were talking about.
Right.
Boot camp.
Right. Boot camp. That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was, man. I'm gonna have you slide in just a little bit. Yeah. So Keith.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
I'm so, a side slick.
Right. So listen, Keith. Let me say this first of all, man.
We should put her in the middle. We dark skinned. You
want to do that?
Nah.
Okay. Look. Let me tell y'all something. So that y'all know, in the MAPS community, y'all know I normally run things. Really, I'm sitting next to the guru. So at this point, it's like, yes, sir. Whatever you say, do. That's what we doing. Man, listen. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. The new book.
You can tell I just
Side Chick Out. Yeah, I could tell. That's why I got enough energy for both of us.
I only wake up this early on Sunday.
Yeah, right. And then it's a little grudgingly. It's like, Lord, do we have to do this again?
I have to.
So, man, talk to us a little bit about where you at. What's going on in your world, brother? This book, Side Chickology, I know has been a work in progress for a couple of years now, and you and I tried to get together last year, I want to say.
Let me finish the book.
And you was like, Glenn,
let me finish the book.
I got something for you, man. Like, I want to come on, but I need a real reason, right? And so the book is out. Talk to us a little bit, Keith. What's going on?
So the book is a book about, the purpose of the book really is to protect marriages, which is why I'm really excited about being here, because that's what you guys do. You protect marriages, which is a very arduous work.
Yes.
To protect marriages, because marriage by nature is a naturally atrophying relationship. We don't grow close.
I just want to let y'all know, Keith has $200 words.
Right, so pull out your dictionary.
Get your dictionaries ready. Keith, I need you to break that down. You say, what did you say?
Marriage by definition is a naturally atrophying relationship.
Right, absolutely.
We fall in love leading up to the marriage. We play in the snow together. We go on dates together. We go on cruising. We fight. We had to fight to not have sex. If you're a Christian, we had to prayed up, right? Now we got to fight to find time. It's like hit or miss, And you get a house, you got bills, you got kids, you got responsibilities. So the relationship naturally drifts.
Right.
You have to be intentional about connecting.
Right.
And so to protect this requires people having the tools and the boundaries to keep it close. Right.
Yeah.
So I want to applaud you all for the work that you all do.
Thank you.
And your transparency.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about being here. And the book is just a study of how marriages are destroyed by infidelity.
I love it. Cherie, I was up late last night. I woke up, went to the bathroom.
Can I have some coffee?
Came back. No, you don't drink no coffee. I ain't mess with you.
I just want a cup.
You got your, y'all do me a favor.
I want a coffee.
Yeah, do me a favor.
I would look smarter if I had it.
Jeremiah, if we can find a cup around.
Yours, man.
To hide your thing. I got you. Nah, look, let me tell y'all something. I went right for it too. Let me say this, Keith. I was up late, man, reading the book is a page turner, number one. Y'all, if you don't have it, you need to get the book. You can't put it down. And for a person such as ourselves who've been down this track, Cherie and I are super transparent. We both have been married before. I was married for 12 years prior to her. She was married twice before me. I probably stepped out on my wife. I'm not proud to say well over a dozen times, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, like some kind of way I was checked out.
He was out more than them.
I was out more than, and Cherie been through it both with both husbands, yes?
Right, with both of my former husbands. I committed adultery, they committed adultery.
It was a situation.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you write about in the book, and it blessed me to hear you say this, because I think people need to hear, adultery comes from adultery. In the sense that I think in many cases the reason why these numbers are so alarmingly high is because it's actually being modeled. People are being taught how to cheat.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
You feel what I'm saying? So when I look at the history that you've come from, in terms of, it's innate. It's almost, unfortunately.
My father had multiple girlfriends. All my uncles had girlfriends. You know, it was part of the culture. It was considered normal.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's the challenge, and I was unfaithful to my wife as well. Here's the challenge. Statistically, a person who's been unfaithful is 3 times more likely to be unfaithful in the future than somebody who never has.
Wow.
Because if I did it, I can do it again.
That's important.
Because here's the thing, right? You know, because people want to act like, oh, now I got the right person, I don't have to be tempted anymore. That's not really the issue.
Right.
Because there are circumstances that trigger that behavior.
Yep.
Right.
And I can eliminate the behavior, but I can't eliminate the circumstances that put me in that situation.
Absolutely.
Because it may be a number of things that make me vulnerable to that. And because of euphoric recall, I know you would do euphoric recall. Let me simplify that. That's when we have a limited memory, a selective memory about what happened in our past.
Yes.
So when you think about an affair, right? A lot of times we think about the fun of it because sin is fun,
no doubt,
and sex is pleasurable,
no doubt.
You cannot match an orgasm.
No,
I know that.
Right.
No, absolutely.
That's unmatchable.
No, you can't.
That's unmatchable. Let's not be fake. We're gonna be real. We're gonna be real.
Absolutely.
So when you and then there's something energetic. This energy hiding and sneaking.
100%.
Right. So when you find that. When you think about that, you don't think about all the drama and the stress and the hiding. So that you got the euphoric recall going. You got the fact that there are circumstances that this is how I medicated this pain before. So if I don't create new ways of handling old circumstances,
yes, sir,
I can do it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For those of you gonna be fighting this the rest of our lives,
bruh. Listen,
anybody saying otherwise, they
tripping. They tripping, guys. If you're just tuning in,
I'll never do that. Yes, you can. You can, and you will.
Right.
Absolutely. Without boundaries,
it's a given.
Absolutely.
So for those of you guys who are just jumping in, you obviously have tuned into Breakfast with the Brookses. This is my lovely wife, Cherie. Our guest this morning, Keith Battle. He's written a book called Side Chickology. Y'all do me a favor when you get a chance, grab me a copy of that book. I just want everybody to see it. I need you to go to Amazon. I need you to go to wherever books are sold, because I guarantee you it's there. This book will change the game. It talks about why men and women cheat. It talks about understanding, avoiding, and recovering from infidelity. Keith, you said something that's huge. In our coaching practice, many times people come to us and I'm really trying to figure out, how do I get people to the table before it's a problem? That's the $1 million question that wakes me up and it keeps me up at night. But too often, and we've got some guests in the room today, and we're going to kind of get some dialogue going here in a second. And I think we're live on Facebook as well. So if you're with us on Facebook, you'll be able to see the interaction between the guests. For those of you guys who are on YouTube, you won't be able to see that, but you'll be able to hear, and I'll repeat those comments to you. But one of the things that we're constantly plagued with dealing with coaching couples is, what's the magic pill? What's the solution? Can I divorce-proof my relationship? Can I put this bulletproof glass in my up until my train of thought is, Cherie, I want you to jump in on this. My train of thought is always, because you're dealing with people. You're dealing with things that organically and by nature will change. I don't know if it's possible to divorce-proof it or to bulletproof it, meaning that there's an inanimate object up that no matter what comes at it, it's going to always protect it. That denotes really objectivity something that, well, because of the nature of relationships, I don't think that there is a way that you really can prove it. But what I do believe is that you can continuously guard against it on a regular basis by doing work.
Yeah.
Right,
And
right,
Cherie,
right,
a lot
right.
of times people just at the end of the day, I don't think they want to do that work. They're not gonna, they may read the book, but will they apply it
Right.
and that kind of stuff. So
Right, right. And I agree. I don't think you can necessarily divorce proof your marriage, your relationship, but I think you can guard against certain exterior things coming into the relationship. I think it's about doing that work, continuing to invest in the relationship, continuing to work on yourselves individually, because typically when people say they want to divorce proof their relationship, I'm trying to do something that's going to stop you from doing something. I can't control what you do.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can only control me.
Yeah, good.
So when people think about divorce, where I'm going to put this hedge of protection around my spouse so that they don't do anything that's going to destroy the relationship, they're not focusing on themselves.
yeah.
At the end of the day, when they're asking for that. And so I
Yep.
think if you focus on yourself, your own personal development, and you create the environment
Yes.
that helps to foster the relationship, that's how you guard against the exterior things coming into the relationship.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Give us your take on that. I mean, when it comes to that, the work, how do we really get to the place of where, you know what, that's something that we're willing to do and we understand that we can make that happen?
You know, I'm still stuck on your previous statement where you said, how do we get people to the table before they're in trouble, right? And I think when people come to you guys for help, they can move their marriage from terrible to great.
Yes.
Right? Because you give them tools.
Yes.
Right? But what I found is there is no great marriage that hasn't gone to a place called through. You have to. Because if your marriage doesn't have if your relationship doesn't have some kind of trauma, you are not willing to do the work necessary
Right.
to have, you know,
That's good, man.
most relationships are just kind of chilling. Like,
Yeah.
Right,
we just
right.
kind of flow. We
Yeah.
think that's relationship
Yeah,
work.
we actually think that
we
is.
think
We
it
think we're
shouldn't
doing
be work.
something.
We
Right.
think it shouldn't be work.
This should be
If I got the
easy
right
peasy.
person,
Right,
it shouldn't be
right,
work.
right.
It's just chemistry.
Right, right,
flow,
right. That's
and we just kind of know when
That is a
I know
farce.
when you need this, and I know what
Right,
you're thinking.
right.
That stuff
That's-
ain't real,
that ain't
right?
real. That ain't real.
So until that little fantasy relationship is blown up through some kind of trauma,
Right,
it's
right.
got to be a financial trauma, some
Something
kind of
has to
fight.
happen.
Some kind of fidelity trauma. Something's got to blow it up. And I'm saying nobody feels a need to come to
Right.
you all
Yeah.
or to a counselor until it is in trouble.
Got it.
But you can't get great until you go to a place called through. You have to go through something
Wow.
in your relationship to do the
You just
work.
helped me. You just helped me. You just helped
It's
me.
work.
Right.
Yeah, y'all work on your marriage,
no,
right?
yeah.
After 20 years now, it's funny because, this past January, we came across the 20 years in a row threshold. And I tell people all the time that if something, God forbid, ever happened to Cherie, I don't know if I could sign up to do this work again like this. The work that we've put in
Yeah.
has taken its toll in one sense, but it also has produced something.
Absolutely.
Right.
We have a T-shirt that says marriage is hard work. However, the return on investment is priceless.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is it's going to take work. Guys, we've got some people in the studio today that have done the work. They're doing the work. I want them to introduce themselves. And I know that here on YouTube, you guys are going to be challenged. You probably will hear them, but you won't see them. We haven't worked out the camera situation. But if you go over to Facebook.com/Glenn P. Brooks Jr. LLC. Somebody in the YouTube community, do me a favor, put that in the chat. Linwood, one of you guys, Tiffany, Facebook.com/Glenn P. Brooks Jr., 2 N's, obviously. That's the only way to spell it. LLC, and that's my business page. I want you guys to be able, you'll see the faces behind this dialogue. But we've got Mike and Alicia, Jeremiah and Tierra. We've got Alfred here. All of which who have gone through their own form of trauma, Keith. And you just helped me because trauma, I realize I've been looking at this wrong. As a coach, I get frustrated when people come to me, and I'm just being dead real, in stage 4 cancer, and they're wanting me to save their life. Right? And they're not willing to do the work of chemo and the therapy that it takes to do that. But that is what it takes for you to actually want to do the work. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm hearing from you.
They're not coming to you when they don't have symptoms. You know,
Yeah.
it's got, if
Yeah.
they're just coughing, they think it's the cold, right?
Yeah.
But when you have a lump,
Yep.
And it what is it called? Metastasize.
Yep.
Metastasize.
Yep.
You know we're in trouble.
Right.
Yep.
So now it's all hands on deck. What do we need to do? We're in the oncology ward.
Right.
And the kind of work you all are doing, I think that's a great analogy, is analogous to an oncologist.
Yeah.
This is intervention. We're trying to save something here.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a great marriage that didn't have a history of some kind of trauma.
I agree.
Even if you brought it from somewhere else, you were focused and locked in. I know what it takes.
I agree.
To make this work.
I agree.
And it's going to take work. And I think
agree.
the work you talked about, it's got to be boundaries. It's got to be connection. Like, I think the stronger and healthier the marriage is, the more protection. So I look at infidelity as a virus. It's like a cold. It's like germs. It's out there everywhere. By the way, I mean, there's no way you can avoid it. If you have a phone, you can be unfaithful. You used to have to go if you wanted to cheat on somebody. You had to go to them. Now you just have a phone. You can have an international affair. Virtually,
no doubt.
Just
never meet the person physically, but yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But if I've got the flu and your defenses are low, it's highly likely that y'all gonna have the flu next year.
Right.
But if you got a high level of vitamin C, and you're healthy, and you're fit, and you're working out, you can fight off stuff that normally would make you sick.
Right.
And I'm saying that's the key: being healthy.
Right.
How do we have a healthy relationship that's strong enough?
I love it.
So that when we're tempted,
Yes, sir.
or when we're going through our own challenges, we don't get so sick that we want to step out.
I love it. Guys, I want to defer to a couple of you, and Mike, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and have a seat if you can. I've got on the set Mike and Alicia Johnson, and they have been married for 22 years, and they will be the first to tell you that those 22 years have not been easy. It wasn't until these latter years that things have gotten a little easier. They do a work. Always Journal is an organization that Alicia has, and we just came off of a 90-day intensive of journaling for your marriage.
Wow.
And every single day for 90 days, Monday through Friday, we would get together on a call first thing in the morning and talk about and journalize throughout the process. It's the first time Cherie and I have ever been that focused. We collaborated with them, with the MAPS community, but it was the first time I've ever been that narrowed in on doing deep work on a relationship that, in my opinion, was really good, right? So, but they've come through some trauma. Keith talks about trauma. He talks about the work. He talks about, Cullen, this idea of literally having, if you don't go through something that crashes you, listen to me carefully, guys, you will not know what it looks like to be able to do the work to recover. Does that make sense? And so what I want y'all to do, just really quickly if you can, just talk a little bit about that and how what Keith is talking about in this book, Side Chickology, how that makes sense and how that resonates with you. Alicia, Mike, can y'all talk to us a little bit?
Yeah, what was the question?
So the question is, that's okay. Yeah, no, we've got cameras everywhere. So do me a favor, Alicia, don't look at me, look at the camera, and so that people will know that you're. And we're gonna look at you. So it's all good. So here's the deal: look at the camera and answer the question, Alicia. Like, when it comes to the trauma, at what point did you realize that's what it was going to take for me to be able to get into that work and do the work?
At what point did I realize it?
Yes.
When I knew there was something majorly wrong when I wanted to pack my kids up, rent my sister's house, and roll out.
Okay.
It was, I just wanted an escape route.
Yep.
So I was like, this is not normal.
Yep.
Being in a relationship and wanting to leave. And so it was little signs like that started to trigger things for me.
I love it. Now, for you and Mike, you had decided that, you know what, this relationship was worth fighting for. But it didn't really kind of unfold that way. Mike, I know for you, it took you a long time to come and get on board with this idea that we're going to have to do some work. How did that look for you in terms of doing that work? What was some inner work that you had to start doing in order to get to the place where the marriage could even be healthy?
I think the biggest thing was really just identifying, because of course when you're going through the problem, you're looking at yourself as a couple. And for me, I had to get to the point where I was actually looking at myself and all the stuff that was going on inside of me. Not knowing my dad, all of the stuff that that was going on, really the root cause of everything.
Yep.
So, you know, once I got to that point, and I think, you know, like Keith said, it takes you to get to like the end of your rope for you to really see that. Mm-hmm. And we were at that point where I didn't know what else to do. You know, so it was like the only place for me to turn was to the root. And for the longest time, I always looked at, you know, she did this, she did that.
It was me.
And, you know, until I actually turned in the mirror and looked at myself.
Right.
And looked at where I came from. Like Keith said, it doesn't start with you. It starts with, it's like a generational thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to really identify all of that.
Absolutely. For those of you guys who are tuning in and you're listening by way of YouTube, the audio and the video for you with our guests going to be a little off. I want you to go to my Facebook page.com/Glenn P. Brooks Jr. LLC. You may want to switch back and forth. You'll be able to hear that. We're going to run that back later. But what we're talking about is this idea of coming to what I would call the precipice of and I'm
I see you, man.
You see, I'm leveling up.
I
actually know what that one means.
Yeah.
So coming literally to the edge of where you're willing to do something. And Keith, I think that, and you talk about it in the book, men have this place of escape. It's called the man cave. That in the beginning it's built, and actually it's funny because she actually helps you build that man cave.
Yeah,
like,
right.
when y'all are buying the house, she thinking with you like, okay, so which room gonna be your man cave? Because we're gonna send you there. Like we want you in the man cave. But the problem is that when you have trauma and challenges in the relationship, the man cave becomes the mistress.
Absolutely.
Like the man cave itself.
Yeah.
And then the things that happen in the man cave.
Absolutely. It's where affairs are nurtured.
Ladies, I need y'all to listen in and listen up.
We're going to
No more man cave.
We get no. And fellas,
Yeah.
here's what I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna have to have a part 2 to this because Keith's gonna help you understand. The man cave actually serves a purpose. The problem is that we have used it for bad.
Right.
And so let's talk about that a little bit, Keith.
So first of all, you know, it goes back to origin, right?
Yes.
I think everything starts with history, knowing where we come from. So when God created man, so when God created the birds, he went in the air. He put birds in the air, and we created sea creatures. He went in the water. When he created vegetation, he went in the ground. But also when he created man, he went in the ground. Mm-hmm. Man was made out of the ground, and he breathed into man the breath of life. Man became a living soul. But when he created a woman, he didn't go in the ground, he didn't go in the water, he didn't go in the air, he went inside the man. Mm-hmm. So women are etymologically relational by nature. They were created out of relationship.
Look at that.
We created out of the dirt, right?
I love it.
So we come out of we earthy. We from the streets,
Bro,
from the dirt, right?
It's real in these streets, right?
So that's why we're relationally retarded.
Yeah,
because they came here relationally.
I always say men are special, ladies. Now you understand what I mean.
Yeah, we are delayed.
We're a little delayed. Yes.
That's why really
Right,
technically
no, they're not
the right age limit. Really, a man should marry a woman at least around 7 years younger than him.
Wow.
That's about right because of the maturity level. Because when ladies are girls, they're domestic. They play with stuff. We've blown up stuff at 4 and 5 years old. So anyway, when you think about where we come from, that's why we like basements. That's why we like isolation. We like being alone. And for the man cave is a place where man can play his video games. Some men go down there and smoke cigars. They drink beer. They watch the games. They got the remote control.
Yeah.
It's not all infidelity.
Yeah.
Right.
It is an escape from the world. It is his space. It could be a den. It could be a garage. It could be a basement. It could be a guest room. It could be a guest room. But a man needs a space where the kids and the wife doesn't bother him.
Yep.
The problem is when he goes there to escape the tension in the relationship.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
When he's going to avoid a wife who he can't connect with.
Right.
When he feels rejected sexually.
Right.
What happens in the man cave then, he begins scrolling through pictures and looking at women in bathing suits, and then that evolves into pornography.
100%.
And I don't know of a man who would be honest who looks at pornography that doesn't masturbate.
Yep, 100%.
You know,
100%.
why open the mail and not read what's in it?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's crazy.
Absolutely.
Right.
But what it does is it trains a man to look at women objectively. because now he has non-relational sex. He can have an orgasm without connection. He doesn't have to be a good communicator. He doesn't have to be financially responsible. He doesn't have to be loving and compassionate. He can just pull up the video once, any size, any time, any place, any way. She always calls him Big Daddy. He doesn't have to perform well. He doesn't have to bring her to orgasm. He can self-pleasure himself and learn to be disconnected.
Right.
Wow.
The problem is when he gets back with his wife, he doesn't know how to connect with her.
100%.
Because she's not a machine. She's not sex on demand.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what a computer is.
Yes.
That's what these actresses are in the porn world.
Right.
But then he wants his wife to compete with that.
Yes.
And now he has an addiction.
Yes.
On top of this distraction and on top of this tension in the relationship. So the man cave can be very destructive to a marriage once it becomes the place we run to.
I love
to
it.
hide from the faithfulness and the tension in the relationship.
No,
And I talk about that in the book. I talk about it much. How to deal with it, how to get out of it, how to understand it. Don't blow it up, don't burn it up. It has a positive, but make it a play. I go down there and have sex with him in that cave.
Hey.
Go in there and role play. Role play.
Hey.
Now you can come in the man cave naked.
Yeah, come on. Come on up. Hey, baby.
No, wear a jersey.
Right. It's game day.
With nothing under. Jeez, with some heels.
It's game day. Look. Bro, I felt that in my shana now. Let me explain something to y'all. Listen to me very, very carefully, because y'all need to hear this. Cherie, when the game come on,
well,
I'm going to need you to get that jersey. You know that jersey.
I know.
They got a specific jersey.
The one that fit.
Come on now. And I'm going to need
Dress
you to come
jersey.
on. Now, I ain't going to tell y'all the rest, because I don't need y'all to think about what my wife looked like in that jersey. But here's what I want to tell you, King. I love it because, and I want to go and defer to Jeremiah and Tierra, and I know their story. They've come from habitual infidelity in terms of culture. And when I hope y'all hear us talking from a non-judgmental perspective.
Right.
I hope you guys really dial into the fact that we're not here to sensationalize, make trivial. Some of you guys are going through this right now. This ain't funny to some of you guys, and we're not making light of this for the sake of jokes and that sort of stuff. But what we are doing is we're bringing the balance. And this is very important. I think until you understand the balance of a thing, you can never, ever, ever really understand how to navigate it completely.
Sure.
Because you have perspectives that just are not balanced. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about Jeremiah. You and Tierra came to the MAPS Relationship Academy. Y'all were engaged. You had come through, I know, Tierra, you had been married before. Jeremiah, you had never been married. You both had children. So you're trying to blend the family. You're talking about getting married. And since being in the MAPS Relationship Academy, you guys have now been able to grow up, get married, and begin now a year and a half later, do relationships at a very high functioning level, even when you wanted to quit. The work. Characterize for me, Jeremiah, what the work looked like for you and what pushed you to the table.
I definitely would say in relationship to Mike, it started with me understanding who I was. I don't think I knew who I was in the mess that I was in. I mean, like you said, my dad not knowing him from a perspective of, a father and son type of relationship. It was just in and out, him working, I was home alone. He would bring, women in and out of the house. My brother's the same thing. So that was embedded. It was a learned behavior for me, which caused me to grow up and thinking that was cool. It's crazy because in my mind I always knew that I wanted to be married. I've never had the wherewithal to just kind of separate the two, kind of fighting the demon inside. To try to I was in relationships throughout my my 20s and mid 30s to figure out that fighting back and forth and trying to figure out which way did I want to go. Did I want to be in relationships, or did I just want to have several women? And that's what kind of took over for me. In reference to the work and having infidelity issues with my wife, we actually had to separate for 8 to 9 months in order for me to kind of hit that rock bottom. And for me, it took for me to go to counseling with Pastor Marshall and different avenues such as MAPS, and I presented myself differently to my wife the second go around, which showing up in regards to first taking accountability for my actions and understanding why I did what I did, and also knowing that I can't just speak it, I had to do it.
Yep.
So and joining MAPS, we kind of did that collectively together, and just learning how to communicate, which was a big issue for me, not being able to express how I felt and why I did what I did. And so some of those things right now have, evolved us into a place where we are now. And right now we're in a happy place, and a point where we can communicate. We love each other, extremely. Our kids are blending the way that we expect them to blend, and it came from us just putting in the work and being intentional about doing that.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Good.
Keith, one of the things that I realize, and I'm going to defer to a couple of these guys in a minute, Jeremiah says something I think is significantly huge. I think that unfortunately people don't understand the dynamics of a boundary. A boundary is not a concrete barrier. It's not a wall. A boundary is more like a fence. It ebbs and flows. It has a gate. It allows certain things in and other things to stay out. Unfortunately, most people do not know when, they don't know how, and they don't know where to erect proper boundaries. I honestly think that the pathway back from infidelity has everything to do with the effectiveness of the boundary that you put in place, and then your ability to maintain that boundary through accountability.
Yeah,
I've often said that accountability, without accountability, sustained growth is impossible. I don't care what area it's in. You can get growth spurts without accountability. But to sustain that over a long period of time, I think it's impossible to say. Can you speak to that in terms of how the book addresses those kinds of things? Guys, for those of y'all that just jumping in, maybe you're on Facebook, maybe you're on YouTube. We're talking with my great friend Keith Battle. He's written a book called Chickology. It's why men and women cheat, the understanding of, how to understand it, avoid it, recover from it, talking about infidelity.
Well, before I answer that, I think it's powerful. I keep hearing MAPS, to remind people what MAPS is, what it stands for, the acronym. So MAPS stands for Marriages and Parenting Successfully. And
our whole goal there is to create online environments where no matter where you are in the world, if you have a device, you can come to a private Zoom conference call where we engage people with tools, strategy, and more importantly, community to help you grow through whatever it is that you're growing through, and to be able to do that with the accountability that you need.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I just love what y'all are doing. The way I address boundaries in the book is, first of all, when there's been infidelity, the first boundary that needs to be established is between the person who was unfaithful and the people or person they were unfaithful with. That's an obvious boundary. You cannot have any more contact with that person.
All right.
Like, unless it's your baby's children, even then there must be strong boundaries around how those interactions happen.
Or your baby's, so your baby's mama. He said baby's children.
Baby's children.
Yeah.
Did I say that, baby mama?
Yeah.
It's early, man.
I know it. You're allowed.
And Brooks.
Look.
It's dark outside.
Look, we brought coffee, but he don't drink that.
I don't drink
water
coffee.
Ain't got no caffeine elements in it. God bless you, brother. You're doing a good job.
Baby's children.
If y'all think Keith doing a good job, I need y'all to give him a hand. He's doing a great job. He is up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you need those boundaries because there must be, because even if it was wrong, it was still comfortable and it was still fun.
Yes. Right.
And you're gonna miss it.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. People don't act like they don't miss it. We miss sin. Don't we can say
Absolutely.
we miss it, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way we were doing it because it met a need. So there must be boundaries. Some of those boundaries include changing your cell phone number. It definitely means blocking and unfriending people on social media. The reason why you need to change your number, a lot of people don't want to do that. Well, hey, this is my number, man. I'm in real estate. I'm in construction. I can't do that, man. You gonna mess my clients up. Man, you gonna mess your whole life up.
Right.
Ain't nobody ain't gonna try to find you. They should find you, right? and even if you change your number, you still got everybody else's number that you had.
Right. How about calling them and telling them you changed your number?
Exactly. because listen to this. The last thing you need when you're rebuilding trust,
brother. Come on.
Is for the person you cheating with to be able to catch up with you.
Please say that again.
And your wife scroll through your phone and
right. On some
called you again.
Right.
I almost said the word.
Right. Oh yeah. You're doing real good.
You're like, I ain't call her.
Like,
you need to just shut all that down. Just move all.
Right.
You got to. That's a tough boundary.
I love it.
But the other thing is when you're moving into a new space, the rules change. Now you have to submit to not just accountability from authority or a coach like Glenn and Cherie. You have to submit to the authority and accountability of your spouse.
Say that again.
That's real.
Say that again.
See, you don't get to break the rules and make the rules.
Right. They don't get that part.
Now you like, like you all your everything has to have access now. You got to be able to get to your phone.
Yeah.
You got to have access to your iPad, your laptop, because all of those devices were tools to nurture and develop this inappropriate relationship. So there must be full accountability. Now you can't just call your wife. You got to FaceTime her.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, Ryan, I went to Brooks.
I just want to let you know we having breakfast, but they ain't bring no food. But I'm with the
Right.
You got to be accountable.
Absolutely.
Because rebuilding trust takes a lot longer than losing it.
Right.
Ooh, that's
Right.
good.
Doesn't mean you're not forgiven either. A lot of people are like, when you gonna forgive me?
Yeah.
It's not
Well, forgiveness is instant.
Yes.
That's a gift.
Yes.
In fact, right in the middle of the word forgiveness is give. It is a gift. But in the middle of
Y'all
trust,
need to write that down.
in the
Put
middle
that
of
in the
trust
chat.
is you.
Put that in the chat.
You got to rebuild trust, and you do that with consistently showing that you are not going to do what you used to do.
Right.
Yes.
Even if you feel what you used to feel.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
I messed that up.
Yeah. No, but you need to tweet that.
Feel what you used to feel.
And feel what you used to feel. I
I was
love it.
smart
No,
before
you need to. He get look.
Yeah.
I'm rubbing off on him,
Yeah.
and he rubbing off on me. This some brotherly
You
love.
talking
boy.
about precipice, and I'm
Bruh.
talking about baby's children.
Bro, I promise you.
What you used to feel.
Hey, look.
That's
We
that
all
from my high
need.
school.
We all need some help.
We all need some help.
I promise you,
We all need
guys.
some help.
Listen, for those of you all who are just jumping in, we're talking with my great friend Keith Battle. Cherie and I decided to come to the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area to catch up with this brother.
Yes.
I promise you, that is the reason we're here.
Thank y'all,
Keith,
man.
literally. I
Send
think
them some gas money on Cash App.
You get what I'm saying? No, it's
Cash
hey, do
App.
me a favor.
Crazy.
Hey, do me a
Send
favor,
that
y'all.
cash
Just drop the link to where they can. Y'all, my people, y'all know. Drop that link, and we gonna figure that out. No, I'm just
Yeah.
playing. Side Chickology. I'm gonna need y'all to get this book. I'm gonna need you to get this book, and the reason why is because you are looking for solution.
Yes.
Here's what I'm gonna promise you: solution doesn't come without work. All sincerity, solution does not come without work. You're not allowed to just show up having screwed up, get a solution that you didn't work for. You worked for the screw up. You worked for the drama that you have. Do the work to go get from where you are to where you need to be. Keith, one of the things that I want to do is I want to talk to Tiara a little bit, and then I'm going to go to Alfred, and we're going to kind of talk about from a woman's perspective. Tiara, there's a level of trust that it's very difficult for you to regain, partially because of how you're created. God wound you in such a way to be intuitive on another level, right? That's just the way you're built. But you had to do work to be able to trust Jeremiah, and I know y'all are transparent enough, and y'all have shared this publicly. That work continues. That's not a work that ended. And I think, unfortunately, men think that the shelf life on regaining trust, it should be short-lived. Like there should be an expiration date on that, like really soon.
Right.
And I don't think that that's fair of us to ask it of you. How have you done the work to be able to, on you, to help him or create an environment where regaining trust is even possible and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So I think for me, one of the biggest things was acknowledging that what we went through was really traumatic, and that I definitely had some PTSD as a result of it. And him coming to a place where he understood that really made it easier for me, because I think initially for him it was like, well, we decided to work it out, but you keep bringing it up, this keeps coming up, this keeps happening. And I just had to get him to a place to understand that, hey, like, it's playing on a loop for me.
Right,
Like,
right.
one thing
Ooh,
happens
that's
and
good.
it triggers the whole
It's- ooh.
experience over again. And so when we got to a place where I had to make the decision to go to therapy to really work through the trauma of it, that was really helpful. But I think also when Jeremiah got to the place where he was being consistent in terms of showing up in a different way. And so that meant, like you said, the boundaries, putting those boundaries into place. Like, his phone was always open. He had 2 phones at that point. And so he was like, look, they're both open. Or even if something did come up for me, creating that space where I can go and say, hey, this happened and it looked real suspect, but I want to give you the space to explain. And when we started to
that's
have
good.
that dialogue, and he was just being open, or it was even times where he would leave the house and say he was going one place, but I would feel something different. Being able to FaceTime him, or him taking the initiative to FaceTime me and say, hey, this is what's going on, and letting me see what's happening in his environment. All of those things started to create trust for us. And it wasn't just for a period of time. It's almost been 2-3 years now, and he still does those things, and he's still showing up in that way.
I love it.
And so now when those feelings come up, I'm able to suppress it and say, hey, that's not who he is anymore.
Right.
Yep. I love it.
That's
Sheree,
good.
I know that just real quick, before we go back to Keith, I want you to kind of speak that from a woman's perspective, how important it is. Tiara said something that was just super dope. I got to figure out, we're going to do something with that. Like for her, it was on a loop.
Right.
Like this thing
good.
doesn't, you don't get to press pause on this, sir.
Right.
For me, this just continues to go.
Right.
Like, how do you help a brother, and I watch you do it with women all the time, helping them come to the place of where they have a voice. They're willing to speak up and speak out and speak to that scenario.
Right. I think the biggest thing is that usually when a situation happens, when there's infidelity or there's something that destroys the trust in the relationship, like you said, for the men are like, okay, I said I'm sorry, let's move on.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that for a woman, because we're emotional, because that is traumatic to us, there are going to be little things that can trigger it. It could be 5 years down the road and something can trigger it. I think part of that is, as a woman, number one, you have to recognize the growth that you are seeing. You do have to acknowledge that and say, okay, they've been consistent. They're doing these things, and not allow yourself emotionally to go there. But I think the key is having open communication, being able to go to him, not in an accusatory way, but to say, hey, this kind of triggered something for me. Can you explain that to me? But I think having that openness in the relationship, and that's one of the biggest challenges, honestly, that I think that we face, is that the men aren't willing to be open, aren't willing to give full access. Because men, like I said, I'm sorry, it's over. You need to just trust me. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. And even on the other end, if it's the female that commits, the offense, you have to subject yourself now to your spouse. And I think, Keith, you talked about, I think it's, at that point, you lose all autonomy. I'm no longer an individual. I'm now under I have to submit to you completely. Everything that I do, everything has to be an open book to regain that trust. And it takes time. And I think that people, like you said, they expect it's going to happen in 3-6 months, and things been good and it's over. No, there's been damage done, and it takes a long time to heal from that.
I love it. Guys, the book is called Chickology. I know we're coming up on 8:44. We're normally ending the broadcast. We're going to probably wrap it up here. I want to get Alfred in to speak to this and let him share he and his wife's story. They have an amazing story. Many of you guys know them from social media in terms of how they even came together. But I want him to share some insights into this from their perspective. Before we go there, do me a huge favor. Keith, where can they get this book? Is there a website that you have that you'd like us to, we'll get some people to put that in the website for them to be able to get?
Yeah, my website is SAGA City, sagacitycompany.com. Company spelled out, SAGACITY company.com. And you can go there, and I especially want single people who are watching this and anybody who's watching this can get this. You can download a free chapter in the book. Chapter 10 is free. You can go to our website and get it. You can get the whole book, but you can read it and sample it. There's
super dope. So I don't know, Monty, if you can put that in the chat some kind of way, at least on Facebook. Linwood or Karen, do me a favor, huge favor. If you're on Facebook Live listening to this, do me a favor. Put the link in the YouTube channel on the feed,
www.sagacity.
SAGA
City.
Yeah.
Looks like Saga City.
Yep, Saga City. Okay. Do me a favor, cut and paste that and put that on the YouTube channel's feed so that they can hyperlink that and you guys can get that in, because I want y'all to pick up this book. Keith, can you speak to just briefly this idea of, and we're going to pick this up on the other side, guys. I think we're going to talk for a few minutes and unpack a few other things and maybe bring that, if y'all are okay with that, bring that portion of this interview to you at another time. But talk to us just a little bit about the way back, and give us some encouragement and some hope. There are some people who are hurting, man, and they don't know how to figure out, how do we get back. Help us out a little bit.
And I'm just your guest, but don't forget Alfred.
I'm absolutely. I'm on it.
He's been spinning.
No, I know it. And I saw. And he looked at his watch 3 times. I've counted.
Yeah.
I got him. He gonna close this out. I got him.
So man, this has been great. I hope we do a part 2.
Yes.
And talk about this because there's so much. Every time somebody says something, it opens up something else that I write about in the book. And so the way back is understanding that triggers are normal. I think for the person who's been betrayed, they need to understand that triggers are normal, and the person who did the betraying needs to understand that.
Yeah.
You know, for a person that says, "Why you keep bringing that up?" I didn't bring that up. You brought it up.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Why you brought it up. Your behavior brought it up. Your behavior initiated, your behavior was the genesis of it, and your behavior just brought it up again.
Wow.
So we keep saying why they brought it up. No, you brought that up.
If it wasn't for the behavior, there would be no bringing it up.
And the patterns.
Right.
This looks similar. See, when you see the Goodyear blimp is a phenomenon back in the 70s and the 80s in NFL football, but they have replicas of it that you can get for $33 at like Target. It's not the real thing, but it looks like it. And so a trigger is not the real thing, but it looks like it, it smells like it, it feels like it. And when I'm triggered, it takes me back emotionally into the same place that the real thing happened.
Y'all see why he's a guru?
So you understand? So you have to understand that's normal. Those can come up for years.
I love it.
You can be 10 years down somewhere on the beach.
Watching a movie, doing anything, and boom.
Like, this looks like and smells like and feels like, and some of that's demonic. It's
Right.
But the person who caused the trigger is not the person who's feeling it.
Got it.
Right.
We think people like bringing up stuff. Do you think I like bringing up stuff to traumatize me? They think you get a kick out of just being stuck, don't you? Nah, I don't want to be stuck. And by the way, when people search through your phone, there's a purpose behind searching, and I think it's necessary. I think people search for 2 reasons, 2 main reasons. They either want to find out that you're still slick, or they want to find out that you're really clean. That's it. It ain't really. So the search is necessary. I need to come away from the search having my suspicions justified. You still dirty.
Wow.
Or I need to have my hope encouraged. You're clean. Every time I search, search gives me an opportunity. So you shouldn't be worried about a search.
Let me tell you
because he who has nothing to hide hides nothing. So I want you to search.
Look, search that. Search that. Come on now. Listen. We're gonna go to Alfred.
I would make him do a rap called Search That.
Alfred, I want you to do a rap.
Freestyle.
We need you to freestyle. Search that.
Search that.
Because listen, Part 2 is going to open up. Part 2 of this interview is going to open up talking about Search That.
Search
So
that.
I just want to let y'all know that's where we're going. If you miss this one, Part 2 is coming.
Go-go beat or
Bruh, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
can do anything.
Go trap. All that. You know what I'm saying?
He from that space.
I love it. It's real out in these streets. Guys, for those of y'all who are just tuning in into the broadcast, I want you to go back, check out the replay, talking to my friend Keith Battle. This is Breakfast with the Brookses. We're going to wrap up here in a second. I'm going to Alfred. Alfred, you guys have an amazing story. Your wife and you guys, y'all came together. Social media has been taken by storm. For those that don't know, can you really quickly give a quick backstory for Ever Duncan, how that worked, how that came about, and then where are you today? And then speak into this subject for me, bro.
So, Forever Duncan was when I proposed to my wife at 11 o'clock a.m. and then I surprised her with the wedding, which I organized at 6 p.m. that same day. Took social media by storm, and that wasn't my intentions. My intentions was to just do something special for my wife, and I had the hashtag Forever Duncan because it was a surprise to her, so I wanted her to be able to go back and see that day.
Love it.
But it caught on, and everybody was, seeing it and posting it and things of that nature. So since then, me and my wife, prior to us getting married, we were doing the work. We were doing the work with Pastor Marshall. We were learning a lot from Pastor Battle. And I was committed to doing work within myself prior to me even getting in a relationship with her.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, and then everyone looks at it as a fairy tale, and that's cool. But in every fairy tale, like Red Riding Hood, that you have to go through the forest before the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people don't see that.
Yeah.
They just see the wedding and just imagine it like, oh my God, I know it was one meme that said, if you're not willing to forever dunk in me, then leave me alone.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, you have no idea.
Wow. Wow.
And even to this day, me and my wife, like we go through it. Even though we do things to help marriages, we have conferences and we have a play out in which Pastor Battle and Pastor Marshall is a part of as well. That helps marriages. Like we still go through it.
Yeah, man.
And individually though, what I do want to address is individually we have our own thing. I have a thing called Man Uplifting, and she has a thing called Dear Self, in which she helps women to heal, and I try my best to bring men into a safe space to heal and speak about things. So it's just interesting, even in this conversation, majority of the conversation is when we talk about infidelity, we're talking about the man cheating on the woman. And I also, heard like as far as relational, women are more relational, and I agree with that. But I think it's very important for men. I was raised by a single mother and a sister. I grew up kind of different. I wasn't all into women like that. My mother told me, you don't need a girlfriend. I was into basketball and football, sports, all of that. So, I was very relational. I was very relational. And I see the reason why I do Man Uplifting is because I understand what men go through culturally.
Yes, sir.
Culturally, we've been taught to be guarded. We have been taught to not be open, because when we open ourselves up, we are vulnerable. And in this world, they normally use a man's vulnerability against him. And so I think that in order for us to become more relational, I think it's very important, first of all, for us to become more relational as men prior to us even getting in relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to understand our value. I was telling Pastor Battle this one time when he was on our radio show, is that even with women, they're told, protect your cookies, girl, cover your dress, cross your legs. When the last time a man was told that your penis is precious?
Wow.
Has anybody ever told you that? Has anybody ever told you that you shouldn't just be going around just like when you treasure something, you put it in the safe, you don't put it up on the wall so that when people walk in your home, they can look at it and be like, oh, that's nice. No, you put it away because it's valuable.
Yes, sir.
We never tell our men ever in life.
Wow.
And so once we begin to value ourselves and once we become more relational and try to be more open, then I think that the relationships will change and there will be less, I won't say infidelity, but it will be more room, it'll be more room for growth.
I love it.
And when it comes to women, I say this as well. Women, it is our responsibility to do this. It is our responsibility to seek help and to try to become more open and more relational. But for a woman, like, you have to create an conducive environment.
Love it.
Right.
100%.
Because if we are open to you at the beginning, if we're open to you and we spill all our guts out to you and then you use that against us, then further on in life, we're not gonna, we're gonna shut down. Because that's how the world did us.
1000%.
So, I mean, me and my wife, we go through the same thing. Like, I don't want to, this is the thing. I don't want the world to think that Forever Duncan is a fairy tale and we living on, listen, we just had a conversation this morning. We were beefing all week long. So it's not,
that's real.
However, we are committed to
doing the work.
That's real.
I'm not the perfect guy in which I don't have the thoughts and everything that other guys have, but I am consistent with my work to try to make sure I block those things out.
Love it. Guys, let me just say this. Huge thank you for coming on, being super transparent. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to end here on YouTube. We're going to end here on Facebook Live. I will put it up as a part 2. We'll do some kind of YouTube premiere where we will schedule it like a live so that we all can engage. If you guys are willing, I'll set up a date and a time. Maybe you guys from wherever y'all are can get online and just engage the conversation live while we play back this part 2. And we're going to pick up, Alfred, on you. And I want to kind of begin to walk down that road. I think that men are hurting because we have never seen relationship really modeled from a man. we've seen, and I can relate to you, my first book, How to Raise a Man Not a Mama's Boy, came out of my experience of being raised by women. Right. That's all I could relate to. And so in many cases, I felt like a punk in a lot of ways, just like, I wasn't a rough, tough, hard dude. Like I could feel easier than most men could. And as a result, infidelity for me started relationally always. It never was a conquest. And it was always traumatic on the back end, because I felt like, oh my God, I have screwed up.
Absolutely.
But there was a part of me that couldn't stop doing that. And I could never didn't have a guy model what to do with them feelings, what to do with them thoughts, how to navigate that. And in growing up in church, you definitely wasn't going to talk about it, because that was the devil. You get what I'm saying? Like Jesus fixed that. So we're going to pick up that conversation, kind of deal with the man. Mike, I want you to be able to chime in a little bit and help our brothers out a little bit, understand this perspective. But Keith, thanks, man, for everything.
My man.
Thanks for being transparent with your story. And always being a champion, man. Not that you perfect, because none of us are, but you have been able to stand flat-footed in your truth for years, bro. And here's what I know about you: you are consistent. And I think that is, if there is a silver bullet, if there's a magic pill, I think consistency is one of the components that make up that medication, that cocktail. And I think that you have that, man. I know that you have that. And I just want to say, as your brother, who's always looked to you and certainly modeled a lot of things that I'm doing behind what you've done, I never will forget stealing your line. I'm going to tell you face to face. I think I sent you a DM when you said people get married, but their money don't. Oh, bro, this is the guy I got that from. Anytime y'all hear me say that, that's his, just the wisdom, man, over the years. And so thanks for the mentorship, even many times from afar. But thank you so much for everything. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate it.
Babe, we're gonna sign out, guys, and I will tell you, for those of you guys who are on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, thank you so much. Do me a favor, share this out. Tag somebody who's going through, who's trying to battle their way back. Maybe you're tempted to go to do the wrong thing. This right here will help you. Pick up the book, Side Chickology. It is available wherever books are sold. I think they're putting the link where you can go on Keith's site and be able to get the book, get a free download, of Chapter 10, which is just a way to help you kind of get a little taste of what the entire book is about. But at the end of the day, guys, we like to end our broadcast by saying we all need some help.
You guys have
be
a great
good.
Saturday.
We'll talk soon.